What's going on, everyone? After a long week and a half hiatus, the Mark and Graham underscore podcast is back. That is Mark and Graham underscore podcast. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and follow us on Instagram. So, last time you guys heard from us was a week and a half back. And just in case you forgot about what we spoke about, Mark, you want to give the fans a little rundown about our last show?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun last show. We started with our typical clown of the day. I chose Antonio Brown, and Graham chose Max Kellerman for his remarks on Kobe Bryant. So I had to go off on my tangent about one of my least favorite players of all time. That brought us to the NBA all-decade debate. We each gave us our opinions on the teams. Then we gave us our own picks for the NFL all-decade teams. That was a lot of fun doing a draft there with the two of us. And then our odd man out, we had NFL rivalries getting us ready for the upcoming football season. And lastly, we ended with our Super Bowl picks, which was just a great start, getting us ready, getting us hyped for the NFL season that's right around the corner.
Yeah, so basically, we are back and we are better than ever. Mark was on his little bit of a honeymoon. Shout out to Carly. How you doing? So, yeah, we're going to keep going. So today we're going to look at our clown of the day. The White Sox and the Yankees announced a series at the Field of Dreams. We're going to talk about that. Ronald Acuna getting benched in what is right now a heated race for the best division, or excuse me, for the best record in the National League. We're going to look at who we think deserve the American League Cy Young Rookie of the Year and MVP awards. We are going to have a special guest today, and Mark's going to talk a little bit about that later. We're going to do Odd Man Out with our power rankings, and we're going to talk about who we think are going to win each NFL division, wild card, and awards. And we're going to finish it up with our Mark and Graham of the day. So let's get right into it, Mark. Little League World Series. Been taking a lot of heat lately. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, the Little League World Series been going on. It's a big event every year, and like the whole world seems to get behind it. How could you not get behind like these kids that are just so innocent, loving the game of baseball, and out there on the big stage for once? But lately, it's been getting a lot of criticism for the way the pat on the back approach to Little League sports nowadays, and these kids that are out there just shaking hands and clapping for kids after they give up a home run to them, and it seems like they're taking all the competition out of the game.
Yeah, you know what? This is very rare, guys. You're going to find me and Mark agreeing with each other, but our clowns are the same. Yo, 2019, I need you to take your body and go back in your hole. Okay, I'm sorry, but we cannot be 2019 with Little League Baseball, okay? These kids need to understand competition. And watching a kid give up a home run and high-fiving the kid who hit it off of him, that's not what competition's all about. And I think we need to stop with all this damn hand-holding because it's ridiculous. We look like wimps, excuse me. And it's just, how are you going to, how do you teach a kid any life lesson, you know? How are you going to teach him that he's got to get better when you're telling him to high-five the kids that are hitting home runs off of them? I think it's just disgraceful, and I think it's a shame. You know, in the MLB, a guy hits a home run, pitcher's pissed off, and I think that's what gets baseball, going. I think that's what makes baseball fun, and I think what these people are doing with the Little League World Series is obnoxious, Mark. It's obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. We both of our, if you haven't caught on to it already, both of our clowns of the day are basically Little League Baseball. Two different avenues of it. Graham went with the high-fiving after a home run, and mine was actually a play that, if you haven't seen it, go look on my Twitter, @MarkdownSports. I posted it. A home run was hit by the opposing team, and as he's rounding the bases, the camera's following him, and you can see the shortstop of the opposing team, this was in a regional matchup, sitting on the ground crying into his arm while the batter rounded the bases in front of him. That's something that should just never fly. And he wasn't pulled from the game, which we're going to talk about pulling players from the game on the MLB side. But in Little League Baseball, you need to have some sort of a repercussion if you're going to act like that. Because not only is it setting the stage for the rest of your life and your kid's life, but when you're on the big stage and you're playing on TV, other kids are watching that, and that's just not who they should be learning from, is a kid that's just crying in the dirt mid-game. That's not a competitive player, and it's just not good sportsmanship.
Yeah. So going off that, Mark, do you think the Little League World Series is going in a worse direction right now, or do you think that we are headed in maybe a direction where we're going to start seeing that it just doesn't get fun anymore, and we don't get that competition?
Um, I don't know. I used to love watching the Little League World Series when I was younger, and I feel like it's harder when you get to this age because it's like I can't relate to those kids anymore. When I was playing travel baseball and I was that age, there's nothing I loved more than seeing like, oh my god, this kid's just like me and he's playing on ESPN. But I feel like you could always relate to watching those kids more when they had the competitive edge and when they were playing with good sportsmanship. But at this point, there's none of that. It's hard to watch a group that you don't really respect the way we once did. And I don't know. It's just, I don't see these types of kids being the ones that are going to go on to play Major League Baseball the way that Todd Frazier did, the way that Cody Bellinger did. These kids have no competitive edge. And like you said, they're getting trophies for coming in last place. It's just how it is nowadays, and it's sad.
Yeah, and all these guys are coming in, and they look up to guys like Javi Baez, Mike Trout, Cody Bellinger, and when Cody Bellinger was playing in the Little League World Series, he wasn't high fiving kids who were hitting home runs off his own team. He was winning his own way, and I think we need to get back to that fiery edge, and I think we need to get out of 2019 for this one thing. We need to cherish the competition. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, totally. And we were talking about some major league players that have former little leaguers, and the one thing that was cool so far about the Little League World Series is that they've added this Little League Classic, where you have major league teams coming in for the Sunday game. They play at a remote field in the Williamsport complex, but they spend the whole day there. They spend the day. They get off the plane and they're greeted by the different teams. The players go and watch the Little League games during the day. They're in the stands. They're on the broadcast. I was watching it yesterday. It's really cool just to see like the coaches of both teams, Joe Madden and Clint Hurdle, for the Cubs and Pirates game. They were out there talking to the kids, getting to know them, and like that's an element of baseball. I mean, people talk about baseball dying. That's an element that you don't see in any other sport, and that interaction, that fan interaction with the younger generation, that is something baseball is getting right.
So moving on to what you said with this Little League Classic, they're also doing a Field of Dreams game, which is, in my mind, incredible for the sport. I think it's incredible for the entertainment business because so for anyone who doesn't know, and if you don't know, I don't want to talk to you. You should go watch the movie. There's a movie called The Field of Dreams, and basically it takes place in Iowa in the middle of nowhere, and there's this iconic line: "If you build it, they will come." And essentially, and if any of you watched The Lion King, Mufasa is played by James Earl Jones, and he's got the voice of an angel. Seriously, one of the best voices I've heard. And this what they're doing is the Little League or the Field of Dreams was in the middle of a cornfield. So what they're doing is they're going to make an 8,000 seat stadium for the first year, and I'm just excited to see this. And I know a lot of the players are excited for it. Even guys like Gleyber Torres, who's not even from America, are posting about it. And the White Sox, a little bit of a head turner. Mark, what do you think about that? The White Sox, come on.
The White Sox, I believe Shoeless Joe Jackson, who the Field of Dreams is based off of, was played for the White Sox.
Yes.
And also, I think related to that series was like 8 Men Out, which was another, like, that was about the White Sox team. So I think like that's kind of why they went with that. And then obviously the Yankees are the most famous team in baseball history. So that's kind of was their thinking there from what I know. But I mean, I even heard that the setup is going to be right in the middle of a cornfield like the Field of Dreams, and they're going to use transparent glass for the outfield fences so that it looks like there's cornfield growing through the fence. So like that sounds really, really cool to think about. And I wasn't all that in. I mean, I know you're a Yankees fan, so you probably paid attention to it, but I wasn't all that into the London series just
I
because
love the London series.
I'm not a huge proponent of bringing American sports out to London until like I don't want to see a team there, but I am definitely excited to tune into this game and see the Field of Dreams setup, see the amount of money the Major League Baseball puts into this, and it should be a great event to watch.
Speaking of the London series, people in London should watch another baseball game because what they saw in London was not what normal baseball is like.
No.
The Yankees were putting on a hit parade versus Boston and vice versa. Trust me, I would have wanted to go to that game. But for anyone listening right now, if you're in the United Kingdom, you need to turn on your channel and put on the Yes Network and see some real baseball because what you saw wasn't real. They were playing a fake team. Didn't even count. But I think MLB is moving in a great direction, Mark. And I don't know why you're so against it spreading. I think baseball is a sport that it's so isolated in South America and in Japan and China, and there's such a wide gap from North America to China. You have all these countries like Africa, London. London's not a country. Europe, just in general. The Little League World Series backing up is where we get to see countries like, not countries, continents like Africa or Australia be represented. I think that's what baseball is. That's why baseball is so great because it could be a universal sport if you really try.
Yeah, I think it is good for the sport to spread like that. It's just, I don't know. I think it'd be great to see them have their own league and see what they could do with that. But even what they're doing with the NFL right now, trying to get these London games, and I mean, there's talk of an expansion team moving to London in the NFL, and you just got to think about things like travel for away teams. No, it's such a disadvantage to have to go through that.
Especially coming off a Sunday game.
Yes, and you're playing the games for a lot of those teams. That's a 9:30 in the morning game when you're going to London, and I just think putting a franchise there would be a huge mistake for the sport that they're not necessarily calculating for at the moment. It seems like this grand idea, but I think there'd be repercussions for sure.
Yeah. So keep it on the baseball track. The Braves, Ronald Acuna. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, for those of you that didn't see it, Ronald Acuna, a top 3 MVP candidate in the National League right now, absolutely lighting the world up. I think he had 10 or 11 home runs in 15 games.
If there was not a man with the last name Bellinger, or if there was a person without the last name Yelich or Bellinger in the National League, Ronald Acuna is your National League MVP. Just so you don't know. Continue.
He's competing with 2 of the best MVP performances we've seen, best MVP rates we've seen in years. But Ronald Acuna is slowly, quickly putting his name right into that mix. Anyways, they're playing a huge series that just ended over the weekend in Atlanta against the best team in baseball, the Dodgers. And Ronald Acuna in the 5th inning drives a ball into left field, and right off the bat, you think it's in the second deck because of his reaction. Does a little bit of a bat flip. He holds it for a minute. He stunts on him. He does a little bit of a hop down to first base and starts walking.
He didn't even hop. This man strolled with the bat in his hand, raised up. He had to have walked at least 8 steps before he dropped the bat. Was he really trying to get under the pitcher's skin? Yeah, you could tell. But I think it's because it didn't go out. That's what made his manager so crazy.
The ball, I think it hits off the wall. He ends up getting a single out of it. And the Braves manager, the name's slipping me right now, he's new to the team, I think this year or last year, yanks him from the game. A top MVP candidate in a very close game with the best team in baseball yanks his star player.
How do you feel about that?
And I think it was the best possible move I've seen a manager make all season long. And
yeah, Phillies fan.
I'll tell you why. It was a statement. It was a statement to a team that is heavily in contention right now. and they said, I mean, we're in a playoff race. We're in a race for the number 1 seed for a home field advantage in the National League. And I don't care who you are. I don't care what your name is on the back of your jersey because you're playing for the name on the front. And he said it doesn't matter. He takes him straight out of the game. And I think that's something that Acuna's a young kid. When he came out to yank him from the game, Acuna pointed at himself and said, "Who, me?" He couldn't believe it. And I think that's a wake-up call for a young team to show them, like, you guys got to play as a unit, and that's who you are. You're the Braves. You're not the team. You're not playing for your individual statistics. And as a Phillies fan, Gabe Kapler, our head coach, I want to kick him to the curb because he's someone that time after time has watched Gene Segura, Maikel Franco, these guys not running out the bases. He keeps them in the game. Press conference, the media asks him about it, and he makes up all these excuses. Oh, well, his right calf has been bothering him, so we don't want him running out balls like that. Like, that's not the kind of coach I want. I want a coach who's going to put players in their place the way that the Braves head coach did with Acuna.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I could see Bryce Harper having a little bit of an attitude in doing that. Just because. Bryce Harper is a girl. And I when I say girl, I mean Bryce Harper is a ball of emotion. And Bryce Harper's good when he's good. I'll admit the guy's got a great swing. But he's such a streaky player, and he's such a, like, he can have a really good game or he'll go over 4 with 3 strikeouts, And I think Harper's got a little bit of a temper. You look at guys like Bryce Harper, and a manager pulls him out of the game. He's not happy. The fans aren't happy. So what if it Bryce Harper? What if it came down to it? And what if Bryce Harper did the same thing?
I'll tell you what. I mean, Bryce Harper might have. He's got such a passion for the game that he's gotten in temper issues with teammates. But one thing Bryce Harper has never done in his entire career is not hustle on every single play. This man built his entire career on hustle, and living in the area of Philadelphia, nobody has been upset with Bryce Harper's performance this year in the Philadelphia area. The outside markets say he's a disappointment, but when you go to that stadium and watch him play every single day, he gives you everything he has, losing his helmet, sliding into bases, diving for balls, and that's like what the city of Philadelphia is built upon when it comes to their sports. So I think you have a point to where he might be a streaky player. He's not going to hit 300 ever, but he will never, ever be a guy that doesn't hustle out a ground ball or a fly ball. He's the exact opposite of that kind of player, and he's built his entire career on going against that and giving everything he has. All right, so speaking of Harper and expectations and what he got this year contract-wise, obviously the baseball world was thinking MVP candidate.
MVP numbers.
And I mean, he has been on fire lately. He had a walk-off grand slam against the Cubs. He's got two home run games in the last week, and all of a sudden, slowly, his numbers are on pace to be the second best of his career. So don't forget about that. But not an MVP candidate in the National League that is stacked right now with talent. Yelich, Bellinger, Acuna. Give me your MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, and we'll start in the NL, and then I'll give you NL picks. Then we'll go to the AL.
All right, so in the NL, I really want to look at Austin Riley out of the Braves. I think Austin Riley's great. But, the NL's so, how do I say this nicely, lackluster. I don't really know who to pick for Rookie of the Year. But I can tell you who I want for MVP, and that's Christian Yelich. The guy's basically replicating his MVP season from last year. And he has one of the best swings. He's fast. He can throw. I think he's a little bit more dynamic in terms of speed when it comes in comparison to Bellinger. What about you, Mark? What do you think?
MVP, I got to go Bellinger. I'll go right Gotcha. And I'll tell you why. It's because most valuable player record has got to play a role. And my MVP and my Cy Young go to Los Angeles Dodgers because they are that much better than the next best team in the NL, in my opinion.
I will I will say Cy Young Award, Ryu coming out of LA. Guy just he's one of those guys. He found his groove. I don't think he's ever going to recreate this. I don't ever think he's going to do this again. I think he's a one-shot wonder. But look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. He is putting up an ERA that it is unheard of. His ERA is, I think, like what, 139 right now. It's barely anything. And to be a player who doesn't speak English too, to overcome that boundary, I think that's huge for Ryu.
Yeah, and that's my pick too. I got him and Bellinger as my Cy MVP combination, and that's exactly why the Dodgers, in my opinion, I mean, you might as well just give them the World Series right now. I truly believe that. I think they're gonna absolutely sweep the playoffs, and it's right now. Clayton Kershaw is quietly, but he's coming back to form as the Clayton Kershaw we all know. And I know you can say he's not the same in the playoffs, but
He's not.
But all of a sudden, he might not even be your ace going into the playoffs. You got Ryu playing this way. Walker Buehler is probably your 2 right now. And is Clayton Kershaw really going to go into the playoffs as a number 3 in a rotation in LA? That could be unheard of. And with Bellinger playing at an MVP level, probably going to take home the award, that's what the Dodgers have not had as good as they've been over this 2 World Series in a row stretch. They have not had that MVP offensive player, and now you have it in Bellinger. I just think it is lethal. And for Rookie of the Year, I think you're forgetting about a guy that just broke Bellinger's all-time NL rookie home run record. I hate that team, but Pete Alonso, 40 home runs already. Everyone thought he was going to start slumping after the home run derby. He did for maybe a week, and now he's just lighting the world on fire. He was part of that week stretch where the Mets fans kind of got a little bit their hearts racing a little bit, thinking they're back in playoff contention. That was all Pete Alonso, and now slowly they're back to reality, losing 3 straight. But Pete Alonso's got to be a Rookie of the Year. I'm not going to run it, and especially after the Tatis injury, because Fernando Tatis was giving him a run for his money.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I thought Fernando Tatis had it locked up, and then he hurt his back. Again, I just think Pete Alonso is a little too one-dimensional, and you can argue with me all you want on that. I don't think home run hitters deserve to be MVPs unless they can hit base hits. Pete Alonso doesn't hit base hits, and I think that's his problem. But yes, I think Alonso is very talented. We're going to switch over to Rookie of the Year for American League. Bo Bichette coming out of that trio for Toronto. Excuse me, 9 straight doubles or 9 straight games with a double. Mark, what do you think about Bo Bichette?
Father played in the major leagues. He's part of that tree that all came from MLB talent. Dante Bichette's son. This guy is a stud. And people forget Vladdy Jr. with his power got a lot of attention, but in the minor leagues and in the MLB pipeline top prospect list, Bichette was right next to Vladdy Jr. in every single ranking. And this is a kid that is an athlete. Vladdy's problem is he is not in good shape, and Bichette is in about as good of a shape as you can be.
Oh,
he's setting himself up for a long career in the major leagues, and when you get into the league and you're seeing major league pitching for the first time, some of the best players of all time get in there and slump, but you can just see this. He's got the eye to ball contact and quick hands. He's going to be in the league for a long time. I really do believe that. Just like my pick for Rookie of the Year, I think the only reason Bichette might not get it is because service time. He got a late call-up. And another guy who got a late call up but has a month advantage over Bichette, Yordan Alvarez of the Astros. He
Yes.
is lighting the world on fire, homering. I think he's up to over 20 home runs in a short amount of time. He's going to be my pick, but I think Bichette is a more talented player, will have a better overall career. But for this year's Rookie of the Year service time, I'm going to go Alvarez with a slight edge. And he really has saved the Astros, excuse me, who have been bitten by the injury bug with Correa, Springer, and Altuve. Alvarez has come in and kind of been the bridge to their injuries and kept them in control of the West and control of the AL for that matter, along with obviously their pitching. Their pitching, that's my Cy Young pick. Justin Verlander, their ace, been a stud. He's doing it year after year. It's kind of like he reinvented himself when he went to the Astros. And I just think come playoff time, when you're facing a team like the New York Yankees, the Astros pitching is what's going to give them the edge. Verlander's shown it all year. That's my Cy Young pick. Who do you have?
That's a pretty decent pick. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna have to stick with my Yankees, and I'm gonna give my Cy Young award to the 27-year-old coming out of the Dominican Republic, Domingo Germán. The guy's just been phenomenal. He is one win ahead of Justin Verlander. He's 16-2. He's got a 3.68 ERA, and for a Yankees rotation that's been a little shaky this year, Germán's been our one consistent piece. First player in the MLB to 16 wins, is on the verge of a 20-win season, which I know is going to be huge. Do not sleep on Domingo Germán. I know the Astros have a crazy lineup, and I wouldn't doubt if one of them won the Cy Young Award. But Domingo Germán is putting up great numbers. Like I said, ERA under 3.7, 16-2, doesn't lose games. Very, very good at controlling his pitch count. That is something Germán has been very good at. He doesn't get up into the high 80s until the 6th or 7th inning, and by that time, the Yankees can hopefully trust their bullpen at this point. So, yeah, my Cy Young Award goes to Domingo Germán. I'm just going to touch up on MVP real quick because I think it's pretty obvious. Mike Trout. Yeah, Mike Trout's going to win MVP. The guy's the most consistent player in the MLB. He does not put up numbers like anyone else. Mike Trout just signed a 10-year deal with the Angels. If that's not loyalty, I don't know what is. He easily could have joined a World Series contender. Mike Trout is the definition of a baseball man, and I think Mike Trout's the best player in the league.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's my MVP pick, and you know what? I'm glad because he's finished top 2 like 6 times in his career already,
and he's won what, twice?
Yeah, he deserves another one at this point, and
so good.
It's because this, knock on wood, but I hope he doesn't get injured. But he had a month or two in the past 3 seasons. He's been an MVP candidate every single year. He's just gotten a little bit of the injury bug. This year he stayed healthy, and his numbers are actually ridiculous. They're right up there with the likes of Bellinger and Yelich and Acuna in the NL. He's better than all of them right now statistically, and it happened in the snap of a finger, it felt like. It's just a shame that the Angels can't get in the playoffs because the world deserves to see Mike Trout in the postseason. I can't even believe what we would see, right?
We would see greatness. I think Mike Trout not being able to, play in an important playoff game is really sad because his talent is there and he's loyal. He's very loyal to this Angels team. And I don't know how in a day and age where players are getting paid millions to ring chase, not saying Giancarlo Stanton's a ring chaser or anything, but he's a ring chaser, and that's fine if you want to do that. But I think what Mike Trout did was the perfect example of what a loyal athlete should do. The team that has taken you, has drafted you, you've played for, have a great relationship with all the front office. He just got paid one of the richest contracts in MLB history. I think Mike Trout deserves it. Bryce Harper doesn't deserve it. Giancarlo Stanton doesn't deserve it.
I was praying that Mike Trout, he's a Birds fan. I was praying they weren't going to give him that contract, that he would go join the guy he came up with in the minor leagues, Bryce Harper. They came up the same year. But I was a little bit heartbroken when he signed with the Angels. But like you said, a guy like that, he's such a great guy and a great personality that you kind of expected him to be a Derek Jeter that stayed on the same team for their entire career. That's the type of personality that is going to always stay close, remain loyal to their franchise, and that's what he did.
So moving on, before we get to our special guest, which we are about to have on, Mark's going to talk a little bit about that. Follow us. Give us a shout out. Comment who you think is going to win this year's MLB Cy Young Award. Comment who you think is going to win this year's MLB Rookie of the Year Award, National League and American League. Also, I got the number 4 pick in my fantasy draft, so let me know who I should take with the number 4 pick. I'm seriously taking inquiries. Now, Mark, tell us a little bit about this guest we have on.
All right, so a very, very close friend of mine is going to join the program tonight out of Indiana University. He's a diehard Philadelphia sports fan, so it's going to be fun to have him on my side tonight. We had Nick on recently on Logan's side, so we're going with that New York-Philly debate. We're going to have him and Logan interacting. It should be a lot of fun, and he's going to come on for some football talk as we get ready for our Philadelphia Eagles football season. So we're gonna give Ben Saul from Indiana University a call and see if he wants to join the program tonight. He'll be right on for our Odd Man Out segment, and this week's category is the NFL Power Ranking.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Go ahead. So, guys, everyone, this is Ben, and he is wearing a disgusting Carson Wentz jersey, but that's okay.
MVP.
Oh, no, your MVP is Nick Foles, not Carson Wentz. Let's just remember that. Okay.
I mean, Nick Foles. I love Nick Foles. He's a legend.
You know what? I got a nickname for Nick, but I'm not going to say it on there. So, Odd Man Out, Ben, how this works is we are going to give you 5 teams to rank, 5 being your 5th best, number 1 being your best. You're going to go 1 to 5, and then you're going to give us your Odd Man Out, which is number 6. So, Ben, without further ado, let's get it started.
All right. Number 1, you know I'm repping. You know they're from my city. You know they're the best team in the league. Bird Gang. Bird Gang number 1. Not even close. Not even close.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
All right. Offense. Start with offense. You got the boy Wentz. Show when he's healthy, he's MVP. He's MVP when he's healthy. He's got so many weapons around him. Wide receiver, you got Alshon, D-Jax, Aguilar. He had a huge year last year. You got Ertz at tight end.
All right, now defense.
Defense, all right. Best front 4 in football. Right there. Fletcher Cox. Brandon Graham. Those guys are beasts. You got Malcolm Jenkins holding down the secondary.
All right.
Those guys can play.
All right, let's hear 2 to 5.
All right, 2 to 5. 2, we're going Chiefs. I mean, Mahomes he's different. He's different. Their offense is crazy. He's different. 3, we're going Saints. I mean, they should have been in the bowl last year. They got good offense, good defense. They know what they're doing down there. 4, you got the Rams. I mean, just a lot of talent, both sides of the ball. Didn't show up in the big game, but regardless, you look at the roster, and, I mean, they're good. They're really good. Best defensive player in the league right there, Aaron Donald. He's a problem for any team. 5th, I gotta go Patriots. I just gotta respect them. I mean, they still got Brady and Belichick. I mean, those two, they're gonna get wins regardless. They're gonna be in the playoffs. They got Josh Gordon coming back. That's a big addition. They did lose Gronk, but I mean, they always find a way. They'll be good. And I guess, am I doing 6?
Yeah. Who's your Odd Man Out?
All right, Odd Man Out. I'm going LA Chargers.
Oh.
LA Chargers. I mean, this team, I've been saying for the past few years, I think they can be a Super Bowl team. I mean, their offense, I like their offense a lot. We'll see what happens with Melvin. But, I mean, I'm thinking they're going to pay him because he's that good. And defense, I mean, they drafted heavy defense in the draft. I think they know that that's the side of the ball they need to work on, and they're ready for it. And I think that Phillip Rivers, I mean, I think he's going to have a time in this league where he's going to make it to the big game. And any of these years, they have a team that's good enough.
I agree. So, Mark, You want to go or should I?
Doesn't matter. You take the pick.
Hmm?
You take the pick. If you want to break from Eagles football talk, then why don't you go first?
Yeah, I don't want to hear any more Eagles.
Best in the league.
Yo, Ben, you're lucky you're Mark's friend, man. So number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. Super Bowl winners. Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. Best offense in the league, most explosive offense in the league, best young core under 25. Great defense. You can't beat it. Number 2 is going to be a little bit of a shock to you. The Chicago Bears.
Wow.
Do not be
Okay.
my Bears. And I only say my Bears because I know the Giants are going to do well. So I got to have a second favorite team. The Chicago Bears, I know this sounds crazy, but Matt Nagy is something special. He's a great coach. He's got a great offensive mind and a young quarterback. They have now Tariq Cohen, who's literally a human joystick. And you have Khalil Mack leading your defense with a set of defensive backs that, like, I'm going to brag about the Eagles for a little bit. You're almost looking like the defensive backs that the Eagles had in that Super Bowl, You have they have a great, starting with Eddie George. And never mind, not Eddie George. Eddie George used to play running back for the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Jets, excuse me. But anyway, the Chicago Bears have a great young set. So third, the New England Patriots. You can't ever, doubt Tom Brady, right? He's Tom Brady. He's going to find a way to win. He's going to find a way to shove the ball down your throat. And yeah, Tom Brady's number 3 with the Patriots. 4, like Ben said at number 3, I'm going to push him down to 4, the New Orleans Saints, a team that should have been in the Super Bowl. They earned their right to be in the Super Bowl. And I think Ben understood that perfectly. They got cheated. And I think overall, I think next year, hopefully they just show up and they just show everyone that they're supposed to be there. Number 5, what was I on? Yeah, I was on 5. Now, number 5, I want to say the LA Chargers. But this is gonna be kind of crazy. But for some reason, I think that the Minnesota Vikings have a pretty good shot this year. I think the Vikings realize that they screwed up last year, and I think, with basically a returning team with a healthy Dalvin Cook, don't sleep on the Vikings. And my odd man out, LA Rams. Had your shot last year, and I think they blew it in the big game. And yeah, that's my odd man out. You?
So somehow you left the Eagles off that list? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Eagles suck.
Eagles.
That's crazy talk. Eagles are straight up my number 1 team. And I'm not even saying that from a biased standpoint, because last year going into the season, I didn't think they were a Super Bowl team. I had the Saints as my Super Bowl pick. But they improved so much from last year. And keep in mind, they beat the Bears on the double doink last season without Wentz. I mean, that was a team that was banged up, and they really had no business being in the playoffs. You added so many pieces to that team. Malik Jackson, Deshaun Jackson, Zach Brown in the middle. Their offseason was ridiculous. And you're getting back a healthy core. You're getting back a healthy Rodney McLeod to complete your safety duo that is atop the entire league right now. They're 2 of the best in the entire game. I just think the Eagles are the class of the NFC this year, and they're not far behind, though, is the Saints. The Saints are my number 2 team.
Saints are number 2 team.
I loved what they did last year. They got hosed. They should have been your Super Bowl champions. They should have beat the Rams, and if that team matches up against Belichick and Brady, in that Super Bowl, the way that the Patriots played, they washed them. And Sean Payton is a veteran head coach, whereas McVay is so young that he just got outclassed by Belichick, as we discussed in episode 2 of the Mark and Graham podcast. Go check it out. But the Saints are just stacked offensively, and they built a defense that reminds you of the Bounty years when they won the Super Bowl. They're my
years. Jonathan Vilma.
Right?
That was a beat.
They were relentless.
Are you on 3 or 4, Mark?
Number 3, Chiefs.
That's a little low, Chief.
The thing is, though, Mahomes is great, but what do they have beyond Mahomes? I think Tyreek Hill, all the media attention, the negative attention, I think he takes a step back this year. And the defense it's okay what they had. I did a big piece. Tyrann Mathieu, was it?
Yeah, big piece.
But, you're still going to have Dee Ford making stupid decisions, going off sides in key moments. So I don't trust the defense. I think Damian Williams was a flash in the pan at the end of last year. They're going to miss Kareem Hunt, who belongs in jail. I'm not a huge believer in the pieces around Mahomes yet, even though he is so great that he still makes them a top 3 team in the NFL on his own, which is crazy to think about it. Reminds you of Tom Brady all those years with the Patriots where they didn't have all that talent, and he still brought them to a bye week every year. Number 4, I'm going LA Chargers. I loved the pick by Ben. They are stacked all around. Defensively, you got Bosa, Ingram. Derwin James was your defensive rookie of the year. He was phenomenal.
He's out.
He's out.
Really? How long?
Derwin James. This is official. Derwin James is out for the next 3 to 4 months with a stress fracture in his foot. So they're hoping. It's crazy. This is ridiculous. Like, just when you think that the Chargers couldn't, like I thought Phillip Rivers was the unlucky guy on that team with 17 kids. It's the entire team that's unlucky. This by the way, these Melvin Gordon contract dispute isn't getting any better. Like, he is having a full-on Le'Veon Bell holdout. It's not like the Zeke situation where there's a lot of talking involved. There's no talking at all. The two parties haven't spoken. Derwin James is hurt. So you're looking at a pretty banged-up Chargers team right now. But like Ben said, I think Phillip Rivers, he's not letting the dream die, I think he's got a big game left in him. And I think if they sign Melvin Gordon, I think you could be looking at a Chargers team, a 2 or 3 seeded Chargers team at 10-6 or 11-5, making it to hopefully the Super Bowl. But with the Melvin Gordon signing, if he signs, I think you could be looking at a 2 or 3 seeded team.
Even with the defense, like Derwin James is a huge loss, but they went defense early in the draft. I mean, their first round pick was a pass rusher. Their second round pick was a free safety. I mean, like 5 out of their 7 picks were defensive players. So like, I think they'll be ready. Their offense will definitely help them out, but it's a huge loss regardless.
Mark, who do you got 5?
5 spot. I hate to do it because I think they take a huge step back, but talent-wise, I still put the Rams here. I think Jared Goff is about to take a massive step back. I don't believe in the guy at all. But when you have Aaron Donald on the defensive side of the ball, that already puts you in the top 10 teams in the NFL. Like, he is that good. Add Todd Gurley to that, who might be healthy this year. Their receiving core is very impressive. You still have a very stacked defense as well. Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib. I like their team a lot. I just don't necessarily like Goff a lot, which is why they're all the way down at 5. But it was still enough to put them ahead of my odd man out, who's a little bit of a sleeper team, but health. The only issue with my pick here is the health of Andrew Luck, because I got the Colts. I like the Colts a lot. Andrew Luck is a big loss, but you have young talent there. They destroyed the draft last year with Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard. And T.Y. Hilton, to add to that, Marlon Mack's a guy with a lot of potential, fantasy football sleeper right there. And I just think the Colts are a team that are going to surprise you and win a very tough AFC South this year with Nick Foles now in there and the Houston Texans. But I think Clowney's going to move, which is going to make the Texans kind of go into rebuild form in a way.
Yeah. So there you have it. Those are our odd man out. So before we finish up with a Mark and Graham of the day, we're just going to go through all the quick divisions. And because I just feel like Ben knows what he's talking about, we're going to leave him on for this segment. We're going to look through every division really quick. I'm going to read off these names, and we're just going to decide who wins the division, all right? Real quick. So let's start with the AFC East. Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, Jets. I think it's safe to say that we all can agree that the Patriots are going to win that division.
Yeah.
Right? Sound good? Okay. The AFC North. This is a toss-up. Steelers, Ravens, Browns, and Bengals. Ben, who do we got?
Yeah, Mark, I know you're not going to like this, but I'm going with the hype of the offseason in the Cleveland Browns. Listen, the first thing, the Odell Beckham trade, I think, was huge. On the Giants, I mean, you had Eli Manning, who couldn't get the ball out of his hands quick, and that had Odell not getting as many targets as he needed. I mean, Baker's a guy, he's proven himself in the first year. I think he can get the ball out. And, I mean, if you're getting the ball to Odell, he's insanely fast. He's unreal in open field. I think you get that guy the ball, and, I mean, their offense will be good. And, I mean, they got some dogs on defense, and I think they're ready. I mean, Myles Garrett, I mean, Denzel Ward. I mean, they got some good young guys, and I think they're going to come out with some fire and win the division.
The only reason the Cleveland Browns do not win this division, it's because of their coaches. If you're going to tell me you're going to go out and get all these guys, Odell matched up next to Jarvis with David Njoku, and you're going to get rid of Duke Johnson. You know, you got Chubb in the backfield. Kamara's coming back. Not Kamara. Kareem Hunt coming back. Baker Mayfield. Like, you have no excuse.
It's a lot of pieces.
There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. Mark, don't shake your.
A lot of talent, though. It's a lot of talent.
All right, Mark. Let's hear it. Ooh, the Ravens because Lamar Jackson.
It all just reminds me of bad time to be an Eagles fan. When Vince Young sat up there and he declared a dream
Backup quarterback.
And it was the Eagles signed all the biggest personalities of the offseason. They all came together and put together one of the most disappointing seasons of all time. And what everyone is forgetting is that winning a Super Bowl is about being a unit and playing as a team. That's what happened when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. They weren't the most talented team in football. That's what happened when the Patriots won the Super Bowl last year.
When the Giants won the Super Bowl against the Patriots, they were not the best team at all.
And I really believe that Odell Beckham is a cancer to a team. He is a stud player. He hurts a team's chances of winning. He really hurts.
I think Eli was holding him back, and he knew it.
And you're putting him with Jarvis Landry, who they were best friends. But Jarvis Landry had a lot of issues last year with talking too much and not playing the game the way it should be played. You add Kareem Hunt to that, who's obviously been in the news for the wrong reasons. I just think it's a team. Baker Mayfield's a stud, but he's got a big personality too. I can already tell. I just think Mayfield and Odell are going to have some feuds. They definitely are, in my opinion.
Who are you picking?
The one thing the Browns have going for them is their defense doesn't have a lot of big personalities. Give me the Steelers.
All right.
Steelers. James Conner, great replacement, and Juju is going to ball out.
All right, so next, another one of those divisions that really could go anywhere. Titans, Texans, Jaguars, and Colts. Just because I feel like the only reason why they suck so bad was because of Blake Bortles. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars winning this division because of the fact that they have a quarterback in Nick Foles, who for some reason I just trust. And that Jaguars team is pretty much set. They have a good team. They just had a really bad quarterback. Mark?
You can't go against Nick Foles. Everyone knows that.
Love Nick Foles.
The Jaguars receivers are like a peewee football team. It's actually sad.
Don't sleep on Westbrook.
They have no weapons out there, and I just think Nick Foles, people forget the weapons Nick Foles was playing with. That Super Bowl team in itself had a lot of weapons. I think it's gonna be a wake up call for him, and also when he gets out of his comfort zone, the coaching staff he was playing with, they had the perfect game plan for him. He's going to have to work outside of his comfort zone with this team, and it's going to be an adjustment. So in the South, I'm going to go with the Colts, assuming Luck is healthy. If not, it's going to go to the Texans. How about you, Ben?
I agree with that. I'm going Colts as of now. I'm assuming Luck's going to be healthy. I mean, offense, I think they're set. Defense, added Justin Houston. I mean, that guy's a dog. He's one of the best. I mean, Darius Leonard coming back, that guy's a stud. I mean, I think they've improved their defense. They'll be good. But I'd also say, I mean, in the event Luck's injury is more like serious than we know, then I would go with the Texans.
Now, I know this may trigger you both a little bit before we move on. As a non-biased, fan, because you guys are Eagles fans, what if I told you that Super Bowl, for me, nothing, it didn't, I didn't say to myself after watching that game, I could see Nick Foles starting 16 games for a team and leading them to a winning record. I saw them winning the Super Bowl. I didn't see him winning, I didn't see him starting 16 games. That's just me. What do you guys think about that?
Want to take this, Ben?
I mean, Nick Foles, I think the way I can describe Nick Foles is he's clutch. He's clutch. I mean, he played in the regular season, and I mean, he honestly, as an Eagles fan, he hasn't been that good in the regular season. But when it's towards the end, especially last year, going into the playoffs, man, we were banged up. No one was really expecting anything, and I mean, he shows up in big moments. He's not afraid to air it out. He's not afraid to let it fly in those playoff games. I mean, there's something about him that he shows up, and I mean, certain players have it and certain players don't. And I mean, when it comes to those situations, he has it. Now, 16 games, that's yet to be seen. I mean, I love Nick Foles. He's my guy, but it has yet to be seen. So, I mean, I can't confidently say that if he's starting week 1 that they're going to be there in the Super Bowl.
All right. So the next division that we're going to, just quickly go over is another really interesting one that I find really interesting. Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers. Now, obviously, we can all say that the Chiefs are going to win the division, no?
I agree.
Now, this could be a really big division to look for in the wild card race, though. So don't, like I said, and I don't really like how the NFL does this because of the fact that there's always that one dominant team. When the Chargers are going to be right there, and to be 10-6 and be a wild card team, that's how the cookie crumbles in the NFL, and that's why sometimes teams that really don't deserve to be playing in those back up against the wall games, they end up getting stuck in them.
Yeah.
So, next division, my favorite and your favorite, the NFC East. So, Giants are going to win the division. They're going to get the number 1 seed.
Yeah, you're a funny guy.
Yeah, no. If the Cowboys sign everyone, I think they have a pretty decent shot. But again, the Eagles do have really good weapons again. So this could be another, one team gets into the playoffs normally, one team gets the wild card. Do you see a possibility that the Washington Redskins are going to be good this season?
No.
Definitely not. I think they're going to get in a bit of a quarterback controversy because it's and for whatever reason, they're saying they're going to start Colt McCoy, which, I mean, I'm a huge the guy. I have his autograph right there, but, like,
he's a college player.
He's a journeyman. Like, come on. I just don't get it. And if I'm the Redskins, what do you have to lose? Throw Haskins in there game 1. But he looked awful in their first preseason game, like absolutely terrible.
Yeah, he was getting those first game jitters out, but I don't see why you wouldn't start Case Keenum. I feel like the guy deserves to start. If you're going to look at it like that, I think Case Keenum deserves to start week 1. Case Keenum, led a team to a good record 1 year at least, But again, I think the Redskins they have 2 journeymen, and then they have a rookie who could turn out to be a stud.
I think the issue with Keenum is he was so successful with the Vikings because they had so many good players around him. I mean, if you watch him, he doesn't have. I mean, he's accurate, but his throwing power is very weak. I mean, if he has a bad O-line, I don't see it going well for him. And I mean, this Redskins roster, it's not looking too well for me. So I don't know how he's going to fare. Definitely the most experienced though. So they have a tough decision to make there.
All right. Another, I'm reading over these division guys, and a lot of these can go either way, including this one. Vikings, Packers, Lions, and Bears. Another historically great division. Obviously Matt Stafford is just going to be just below the bar as normal every year. This is going to go to the Bears. I think Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers. I like the new hire in Matt LaFleur, but there's just something special about the Bears, man. I don't know what it is, but I feel like a lot of people see it.
I'm going Bears too. I think Rodgers. I mean, it's just getting to the point where like, what is good with the Packers? They don't put anything around him. It's the defense is brutal, and I mean Devontae Adams is a stud, and Aaron Jones is showed that he could be a good back, but we all know Rodgers doesn't use running backs like that. I like that they finally let go of Mike McCarthy, one of the most overrated coaches in NFL history. But the Bears, it's like the Aaron Donald effect I discussed earlier. If you got Khalil Mack on the defensive side of the ball, you're automatically better than half the teams in the NFL. And I'm a believer in Trubisky. I think Trubisky fits that Andrew Luck prototype, and I think he's going to be a mobile guy that can throw the football. And I don't believe in the Vikings whatsoever. Kirk Cousins is the definition of average, and he'll never show up in a big game. He's literally the opposite of Nick Foles. I got to go with the Bears.
I'm going with the Bears too. I mean, their defense, those guys play hard. I mean, Nagy, honestly, if I'm just like looking at teams from like an energy perspective, like those Bears are high energy, and like that's what I love to see. And fans, they put Trubinsky in like good situations. Don't try to make him do too much. And I mean, I want to take the Packers, but I mean, one guy as good as Aaron Rodgers is, one arm can't beat a whole team. And I mean, he can pull off a few games with that, go for 400 yards. I don't know, make some crazy plays at the end, but when it comes down to it, that's not going to lead to a sustained winning record and a playoff run.
All right. So, with this division, I feel like it's pretty obvious. The NFC South, the Buccaneers, the Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers. Do I think Christian McCaffrey is great? Yeah. But Saints, Breeze, Kamara, Thomas, you can't beat that trio. Ben?
Yeah, I'm going Saints too. I mean, ever since the Falcons Super Bowl, they've taken setbacks. I don't see them just magically jumping back into that mix. I mean, Panthers, McCaffrey, great in fantasy usage-wise, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be resulting in too many wins. And I mean, the Saints, just too many weapons. Should have been the Super Bowl last year. They know it. Sean Payton and Drew Brees know it. They're coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, if you guys think about it, we were one crappy pass interference call away from a Breeze Brady Super Bowl.
I think Saints would have won that too. I mean, if the Patriots did the same thing on offense.
I guarantee you, if the Saints had won the Super Bowl, the Saints would be looking for another quarterback right now because Drew Brees would be retired. I
like their backup.
Their backup's really good too. I think that plain and simple, Saints got cheated, and you really can't sugarcoat anything. So
speaking of plain and simple, though, I think Sean Payton also cost them their playoffs, and because of Taysom Hill, because they were overusing him in random play calls where it was like wildcat formations where you're taking Drew Brees off the field, one of the greatest of all times. And if you remember that game against the Rams, like they blew a lot of chances to pull away in that game because they were using Taysom Hill and trying to get cute.
I agree with that. I like Taysom Hill, but I don't think that you disrupt the flow like that. I think you let Breeze do his thing, get into a rhythm. I just think that disrupts the rhythm. You stick with your guy, and that's who you go with.
Agreed. So our last division, another toss-up one, really. The Niners, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I know they're not going to win, but something really entices me about this 49ers group. What do you guys think?
They're a sleeper team. Jimmy G coming back healthy. I'm just waiting for this guy to light it up, but you're competing with the talent in LA. The Rams, I think, are just going to be too much, but watch out for the 49ers as a possible wild card team. That defense will eat. Bosa, unfortunately, injured already, I believe, but also Jerick McKinnon is a viable running back, and he's going to be coming back. Go with Matt Breida. I think it could be a sleeper team.
I agree. I like Kyle Shanahan running that offense. I think give Jimmy G a full season healthy, and I think they'll make like great strides. They'll get some wins down the line. But I mean, I like the Seahawks too. I'm a huge Russell Wilson guy. I mean, the thing is, like their D line, they got some like no names on there. They got some rookies, but I mean, they're linebackers. They got Kendricks. They got some veteran guys, but I don't know. They seem like one of those teams to me that's pretty much in the middle of the pack. They've struggled to break loose, and I don't know. They added DK Metcalf, but I don't know if that's going to push them over. Consider it a wild card team.
Yeah. Mark?
Yeah, well, just like I said, I got to go with the Rams in that division.
Yeah, I'm picking the Rams too.
All
So,
right.
yeah.
Before we close out, though, before we say goodbye to Ben, let's just end it with one thing. Go around the group. Your MVP pick, 2019 season.
All right. Well, if he plays exactly the way I think he's going to play, like he has to, if he does not play exactly the way I think he's going to play, he's not going to win it. But I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes to repeat. I think he's too young, he's too athletic, he's got too many weapons for him to not be throwing 58 plus touchdowns this year. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to break the single season passing touchdown record. There is no doubt in my mind. There's just no. So I'm putting money on it now. Hot take. Patrick Mahomes is going to break the single season touchdown pass record this year. I don't doubt it for a second.
And who you got?
I got my boy, C. Wentz, baby.
Jeez.
All right, before you do that, 2 years ago, first off, he showed he's an MVP type player. Before he got hurt, I mean, he was balling out. He was the front runner for MVP. Fast forward to today, I mean, just put more weapons around him. I mean, you add Djax. I mean, that he's a threat on the outside. I mean, Ertz has taken great strides since then. What he's got to do is he's got to distribute the ball better than he did last year. I mean, he was doing way too many check down to Ertz. I mean, he's got to look to get Alshon more involved. But, I mean, as long as he plays the role of a point guard, gets the ball out quick, finds his guys, I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be MVP. So many weapons, just do your job, and the stats will take care of the rest.
Agreed. Mark?
You know, I feel bad doing it, but I really believe Wentz has all of the pieces to make it in this year. And it's amazing to me how the NFL world can just erase from their memory the Carson Wentz that was number 2 on the top 100 players a season ago. He was the MVP of football before he goes down with an ACL injury against the Rams. And people just erase that from their memory when this guy now is fully healthy. He wasn't healthy last year, and he still was a top 10 quarterback. Just wait till you see what he does this year. The only obstacle I believe he has is Patrick Mahomes, because everything you said is 100% correct. The guy is a freak, and I want to pick him as my MVP too, but like there's this thing where you always kind of try to pick somebody new, I feel like, because you're like, oh, repeating is so hard in any sport. But the reality is Mahomes last year was that much better than every other quarterback. I think the only guy who has a shot at beating him is the guy who had the closest season to what Mahomes did last year in the last 10 years, and that was Wentz's season before he got injured. It was ridiculous. That's my pick. Eagles finished with the best record in the NFC, win the MVP. Perfect.
So, like I said, Ben has been doing such a good job here. I figure we might as well just end the show with him,
Oh, wow.
So, I just feel like Ben has earned that privilege.
Appreciate that.
But so we're gonna end up with our Mark and Graham of the day and our Ben of the day, I guess. So Ben, how this works is basically we just find one or two people in the sports world that we didn't talk about and just give them a few seconds of a highlight. So Mark, who's your Mark of the day?
I'm going with Kyler Murray. I really liked what the number 1 overall pick did in his first preseason game. And I know a lot of people are going to come around and say, well, he wasn't so hot in his second game. Well, I didn't watch that. I watched his first game, and I saw a lot of great things. This guy has a laser that I didn't expect. And like I said, he reminds me of a Russell Wilson running around the field, but he has a way better arm than Russell Wilson did. And honestly, than Russell Wilson has now, because Russell Wilson has a cannon. He can throw far, but he doesn't throw dots. And Kyler Murray was running around the field, throwing on the run, and making pinpoint precision passes. I was so impressed. I think the Cardinals made an amazing choice. It sucks that they wasted their time on the worst quarterback in NFL history, Josh Rosen. But at least you realize that after one season instead of wasting your time, and you pass the problem over to the sorry Miami Dolphins that I just feel horrible for at this point because he's a joke. But I don't know. Who's your Graham of the day? Let's hear.
My Graham of the day goes to the New York Giants. Daniel Jones has done a phenomenal job this, preseason. He's fumbled twice, but he's got to get used to the hard hits of the NFL. He'll get over that. And I think Daniel Jones has silenced a lot of those people that booed him on draft night, including myself. I was not a fan of that pick, but I think Daniel Jones knew what he had to do, and he came out here so far this preseason and he did it. So kudos to him. Hopefully he sees the field by the end of the year, but if he doesn't, it's okay. That means Eli's playing well. And if Eli's playing well, I'm not going to complain. So Daniel Jones and New York Giants, that's my Graham of the day. Ben, what is your Ben of the day?
All right. I know you're going to call me biased here, but I got to go Bryce Harper. Listen, I was at this game. I mean, there's fans saying stuff to him in the crowds, and he tunes it out, where he talks back to them. I don't care what he does, but he shows up in the big moments. And, I mean, I was there. I got to give him props because first two pitches, I mean, he missed it. He fouled one, but you could tell he was swinging for the fences. He was going for it. When he hit that, I mean, it was just electric. I mean, I just got to go. I'm not over it. I don't think Philly should be over it. I mean, Bryce Harper, it's a glimpse of what he can do for the next 13 years. And, I mean, I'm going with my boy.
Yeah. Us Yankee fans have had monumental home runs like that. Like when Aaron Boone hit his in the playoffs. That was incredible.
Yeah, just give us one. We haven't had one for a little.
All right. Well, Sam, thanks for joining us today, man. It was definitely a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
I really enjoyed it, man.
Oh, sure.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
All right.
So, guys, that was Ben Soul coming in from Indiana University. You have any questions for Ben or anything to say to Ben, comment on the YouTube page, comment on our Instagram, comment on our Twitter. I'm Mark, or excuse me. Woo. He's Mark. I'm Graham. And this is the Mark and Graham _ podcast. Mark, you have anything else to say?
No, it was just a lot of fun today. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed my friend Ben tuning in with some great football talk. There's going to be a lot more of that to come. Logan is officially moved into school at USF, and I will be moving into Monmouth campus in 2 weeks. So it's going to be a lot of fun in the coming weeks. When we get to school, we're going to have a lot of guests coming from the rivals, well, not rival schools, but we're trying to build sort of a rivalry around these two campuses. And we're going to do a lot more college athletics talks. It's going to be a lot of fun as the school year gets going around. So don't forget to tune in to listen.
Yeah, guys, again, comment, DM, anything, all right? Comment down below. Give us a like. Give us a shout out. Let us know. We need all the feedback we can get from you because this is just to help us with our future. Again, I'm Logan, and that's Mark, and this is the Mark and Graham podcast. We will see you next Sunday, 100%. No more time off. No more hiatus. We will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening.
Peace.